So I appreciate your time today. So this is what I'd like to accomplish today is I'm going to run through how, Fig Team and Open Door, we can work together and how agents can partner with Open Door and utilize our cash offers program. I'm going to talk about our cash offers program as if you've never heard of it before, because I know there are quite a few new agents on the team that maybe aren't super familiar with how it works. So if I'm giving you information you've already heard before, I apologize, but I will try to make it worthwhile. And I'm going to leave plenty of time for some Q&A at the end. And I will tell you, please, bring the heat with the questions. And the reason I say that is it's not super often that you have someone in front of you that can really dive deep and talk with you about any of your questions you've ever had about Open Door. I'm that guy. I'm here right now. So if you have questions about Open Door, I'm right here. Ask me. The only thing I will not answer is things that will send me to jail for insider trading. All other things, I'll go ahead and answer for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a quick little slide deck I made for everyone. Let me see here. Oh, I have to allow Zoom. Every time I do. Okay. So here's the deal, everyone. I had to update my computer. So now it wants me to turn on sharing with Zoom. It's going to kick me off Zoom for 2 seconds and I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
So hold on. Okay. So I'm back. And now I should, if I'm sorry you have to make me co-host again, but now I should have the ability to share my screen. Okay, awesome. Yep, it's working. So we will go ahead, share the screen, and all right, let me get rid of this. Here we go. So, all right, everyone can see my slide deck, right? Awesome. Okay. So today we're going to do a little Open Door refresh, and the content that I want to cover is obviously just, we kind of already did a little welcome. I introduced myself. And then I'm going to talk about a team at Open Door called the Partner Services Team and how you can utilize them, how to work with Open Door, and then just my final thoughts, and then we'll do some Q&A. So first of all, what's new with Open Door? This isn't exactly brand new, but it's about a year old, and I think it's worth revisiting because about a year ago, we started a new team at Open Door called the Partner Services Team. And the reason why I think the Partner Services Team is super important is because one of the most common things I've heard from agents as I've traveled the country is I don't know who to call. I can't find someone to help me. Someone's not answering, or you're difficult to get a hold of. So we made this team called the Partner Services Team, who is a dedicated group of folks who only deal with our partners, our folks that we work with every day. So when you have a question that you can't find an answer to, you can go to this team to get that answer. So I built this slide so you can kind of see there's two different people you can talk to at Open Door. There's the Partner Services Team, and you can call them or email them at any time with any questions. If you don't know where to go, they're your people. You can call them about why was this property denied? I can't get my referral link to work, or my dashboard's not working. How do I get into this house? Anything you need help with, you can call that team. We also have your experience partner, which if you go under a contract and you're working on a specific transaction, they're your Open Door agent you're working with on the other side of the transaction. So they're the folks who are assigned to 123 Main Street that you are representing the seller or buyer, and then they're representing Open Door on the other end. You can contact them. Each time you go under contract, you're going to have their phone number and a specific email address. However, I'll teach you a little trick if you didn't know. If you can't remember your EP or experienced partner's email address, you can put the address in the heading and then just put hello@Opendoor, and it'll get funneled to the right person. So those are the two different groups of people you can contact at any point, the partner services team or your experienced partner or Opendoor agent. My best advice, if you do not know where to start and you're just kind of confused of like who to contact, start with the partner services team. Give them a call, email them, and they'll set you in the right direction. All right. So now thinking about how to work with Opendoor, what's the best way for you to start putting some extra cash in your pocket by working with Opendoor? So the first and most important thing is normally you are going to be working with Opendoor representing sellers in a transaction, right? Where the seller wants to move, they want that cash offer, and you're going to be the one bringing them through the whole process. A couple key points here is number one, if you didn't know, something I'm super proud of is not only do you get to keep whatever commission agreement you have with your seller, but we as a buyer of homes pay out listing agents a 1% commission on top of whatever agreement you have with your seller. And you're able to collect 100 loyalty points. I always hate saying 100 loyalty points because it makes me feel like a Subway punch card. But these loyalty points are worth money. And after you've collected 500 loyalty points, you're going to get a $5,000 bonus. And there's bonuses all the way from your 5th transaction to your 30th transaction, which total $50,000. So it's really a great way for you to help line your pocket with some extra cash. So once again, the most common way you'll work with Opendoor is representing sellers. What does that look like? So the way that you represent sellers is you're going to go ahead and collect a Opendoor preliminary offer by going to opendoor.com, using your referral link, and putting in the address that you need an offer for. You're going to answer about 5 or 6 questions, and then about 45 seconds later, it's going to spit out an instant preliminary offer. This instant offer is a best guess of what we would buy the home for based on all the information we can collect off the internet in about 45 seconds. So then we say, hey, big team, if you want to get a finalized all cash contingencies released offer, you've only got to take a couple steps. Really, the steps that you have to take are number one, go to the property and record a video walkthrough. Here's a cool fact if you didn't know. If you say like, hey, Bryson, why am I recording a video walkthrough of the property and not just taking pictures? It's because the way we price homes is so sophisticated that we need to see the floor plan and layout of the property to properly price it. For example, we will give a different value to a living room that's northwest facing versus a living room that's southwest facing. So we love to see the floor plan and layout of the property, which is why we ask for a video walkthrough of the property to be uploaded. Now, something cool that we've began in your area is a process called agent-led assessment. What that means is that you actually get to skip an entire step in this process and get your final offer faster. So you're going to record that video. We're going to send you a questionnaire that has a bunch of different questions like, how old's the AC unit? Has anyone ever smoked in the home? Is there pets? How old's the roof? Those types of questions, pretty common standard questions you would find in like a disclosure. We're going to ask you those questions. We're going to take that video, take those disclosures, and then we're going to give you your final all cash offer about 24 to 48 hours after that. So just taking those simple 2 steps of recording a video and answering those questions and uploading them to your portal is going to give you a final all cash offer from Opendoor. If your seller sees the offer and they say like, yeah, this is great, I like this, all you're going to do is pick your closing date. You can close anywhere from 14 to 90 days. And also a little fun fact, if you have a seller who is selling their property and then buying a new build, we will be in escrow with you for up to 9 months. So traditional resale, you can close anywhere from 14 to 90 days. But if they're going to do a new build, you can close up to 9 months later. So they stay in their home. They don't have to move, rent, or pay to live 2 places, close on their home, and move into the new build when it's done. You can also do a post-possession or what we call a late checkout for up to 17 days after we close, with the first 3 days being free because you're a partner. If they came straight to us, it would be only 1 day for free. So because they're coming through you, we're going to give them 3 days for free. And you get paid that commission just like normal at close of escrow. So that is what the process looks like when representing sellers to Opendoor. And the only requirements, there's only 3 for you to get paid that commission. I guess 4 for you to get paid the commission from Opendoor, that 1%. Is number 1, you have an active license, which is kind of common sense. Number 2 is that the home is not yet listed on the MLS. So if you send in a property that's already listed on the MLS, we'll still buy it, but we aren't going to pay out the 1% commission on that. Also, that the home is not owned by you. We don't pay out the 1% commission to owner agent. And finally, the last criteria is that you joined this deal, meaning you started representing the seller prior to the seller receiving their final offer. So even if the seller goes to Opendoor themselves and requests that offer, and then the seller turns to you and says, hey, you know what? I want you to represent me. I don't want to do this Opendoor deal by myself. Awesome. Hop on in. We'll get you paid. Just as long as they haven't received their final offer. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Awesome. Okay. So the other way that you can work with Opendoor, this one doesn't happen as often, but I always got to mention it because it's still super important, especially in Orlando, where you probably have a lot of people moving from around the country into your area, is that we have a referral process where you can actually refer a seller from another market that you can't represent them in because you're not licensed in, and get paid a 1% referral fee from Opendoor. So it just works like any other referral fee. You refer them, we work directly with the seller, and we'll pay you out that 1% at close of escrow. How it works, you go ahead and you put the address in like you normally would if you were going to represent them. But instead of choosing, I'm going to represent the seller, you click, I'm going to refer the seller, which will then send an email to the seller saying, hey, seller, agent David wants to refer you. Do you accept? They click accept. You get paid a 1% referral fee at close of escrow. There is one difference in qualification of referral versus represent. If the seller has requested an offer from Opendoor in the last 180 days, we would not pay out the referral fee. However, on the flip side, if you refer the seller and then they close within the next 180 days, we will pay you that referral fee. So there's a 180-day look back period on both sides of if they've requested, we don't pay within the last 180 days. If you request, we pay you out up to 180 days later. Then this is just a separate little image to kind of give you a better idea of what the process looks like in the flow, where you request the offer. By the way, huge plug here. Always request the offer before you meet with the seller. It's just like new builds where you're like, hey guys, if you're going to go see a new build, call me any time of day. I'll be there. I promise. Don't go without me. Call me and let's go. And then they call you on the way home from work and they're like, oh my gosh, we stopped by this new build community and guess what? We're under contract. And you're like, it's kind of the same thing here, right? You tell them, you show up with that Opendoor offer because you don't want to show up to their property and say like, hey guys, I'm going to get you an Opendoor cash offer. Because what are they going to do the second you close the door? They're probably going to go to opendoor.com themselves and put in their address, right? So show up before you meet with every seller with that cash offer. And if you're going to listen to anything I say today, I want you to listen to this next couple sentences. The reason you're going to show up with cash offers is because you showing up with options is the game changer, because when you show up with options, the conversation changes from, are you going to hire me, to what are you going to hire me to do? And that's a powerful message to send to sellers is, I'm here with the slew of options. I'm the best agent in town because I'm bringing you everything you can have. Which of these works best for you? So you meet with a seller, decide if you're going to represent or refer them. 99% of the time, you're going to represent them. And you go ahead and fill out that assessment, record and upload that video, get that final offer. If they like it, pick a closing date, and we'll be under contract and close. So the process timeline is, if you can get us that, upload that video within the first day or two, we can actually turn around and get you the offer a little faster than this timeline because you're not actually having to do a home assessment. You can get you your final offer in about 4 to 5 days if you submit that video to us within the first day or two. Okay, so I have a couple final thoughts, and then I'll turn the time over for you for some Q&A. So my final thoughts are, first and foremost, remember, Opendoor, we're just an option. We're not a silver bullet. I understand that we are not going to work in every situation, and that's okay. But you showing up with the options and bringing that option every time is going to make you the best agent in your area, and it's going to convert you more business, and you're going to make more money. I promise. Opendoor brings convenience, certainty, and control to a transaction. So when you bring this Opendoor deals to the seller, that's what you're offering them. So I want to change your mindset right now because I hear this mindset a lot. A lot of agents look at Opendoor as if like, oh, hey, this house is going to be hard to sell. Because this house is going to be hard to sell, I'm going to go to Opendoor. That's fine. But what I would really invite you to look at this is what does my seller need and what fits their lifestyle? Because let me tell you, I had a gorgeous house that I was going to sell in 2017, but it was a 1,200 square foot house, right? So smaller. It had 5 kids and 2 dogs in this house. Okay. Getting this house ready was a nightmare. And the husband would go to work out of town Monday through Friday. So the wife was just at home all week with the kids. And could you imagine me texting her and be like, hey, Brittany, can you have the home ready in 30 minutes? Right? Even though the home was gorgeous and would sell easily, it didn't fit her lifestyle. She needed the convenience and certainty and control in the transaction that Opendoor provided. So we went the Opendoor route and it was a fantastic experience. It's kind of what led me to work here. But my point in telling you that story is remember, it's about what the client needs and if they need that convenience and certainty in their life. Remember, the first step is always going to be requesting the offer, checking out that initial estimate. And remember, the initial offer is just an estimate. If you call me and say, hey, Bryson, I don't like this initial offer, you know what I'm going to tell you? Like, I hear you. Go ahead and get that final offer finalized, and then we can talk because that's the numbers that matter. Whew. Okay, so I've been a little long-winded. I think I am done talking right now, and I can turn the time over to you guys and see if you have any questions or anything I can go over a little deeper for you.
Thank you, Bryson. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, can you ask,
1 second.
what's the request and offer of Opendoor and what kind of position do you want to sell it?
I don't know if you heard that, but he's asking that at what stage can we request an Opendoor offer? And if you need the sellers.
Great. So basically,
Sorry.
like,
So when can you request an offer and do you need the seller's permission to request an offer?
great questions. The answer is you can request an offer from the seller as long as no one else has, right? As long as there's not an active offer on the property already. And no, you do not need the seller's permission to request an offer. You can use Opendoor as a prospecting tool. So we encourage you, before you meet with that seller that first time, show up with that Opendoor offer, bring it as an option.
Amazing.
I wanna,
Another question?
so if, let's say we get an inquiry from someone that is looking to sell from like Zillow,
Uh-huh.
we have an address. We haven't necessarily got in touch with them, can we submit that address to you?
So if they get a request from Zillow that somebody's looking to sell, can we just go ahead and submit for you guys that address, send the address and see if we can get a cash offer first? Is that the question?
Absolutely. Yep. So right when you get that seller lead, my first piece of advice is look at the property, pull some comps, do some investigation. My second piece of advice is get the cash offer.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, are we still using the same fake team link that we had before?
Do we have the same fig team link or what would be the best link to submit any request?
Great question. So you should have the same Fig team link. I can go ahead and I'll sync with the team and make sure that I have the right roster so I can make sure that everyone has access to this link. So you can all use it to make sure we give your team all the credit for every piece of business you do.
Okay, perfect. So after this, I'll send you the roster and we can coordinate that.
Yep.
Jerry has a question. Jerry?
Hey, how's it going, Bryson? I actually have 4 different questions. If I could just ask them all real quick. They're not that big, but figure I'd just get them all out the way.
Let's go.
As far as the loyalty points, so you say that we get 100 per, I guess, transaction, right? So once we get 500, that 5,000, is that just distributed in one shot, I guess, on top of the whatever 1% commission
Yep.
that is?
Yep, it pops up as a commission on the settlement statement.
Okay, cool. As far as home quality, like condition, I should say.
Mm.
So let's say we make a preliminary offer. Okay, preliminary offer is X amount. Let's say the house is absolute trashed inside. There's a bunch of like just personal equipment and stuff in there. Um, will it drastically change the offer, or will it only go down to the lowest? Like, you know how sometimes they'll give you a range.
Yeah.
I'm only asking this because I actually just had this happen. So the range was 108 to 120. If the
Mhm.
house is trashed, would it go any lower than 108?
Great question. So I will say it can. We typically stick within the range 93% of the time. So
Okay.
it's very rare we go under the range. Let's just say the house would have to be like trashed and need a lot of work. Because look,
Okay.
I'll tell you straight up, hoarder, like I say this, and please don't quote me and put me on the news. Hoarders love us, okay? Because we make it easy because their house is hard to sell, even though they might have a nice house, right? But it's filled with stuff that shows poorly, right? So we've been a great product for those folks because if you move the stuff out of the way, the house is actually not bad shape. So we have a pretty good ability to look past the stuff and see the house. For about what? 8 years running, we're the largest purchaser of homes in America. We have a really good idea of what we need to do to homes to get them show ready. So we're able to look past a lot of that.
Gotcha. Question number 3 would be, if the house is trashed, will you take it with the stuff inside, or do they still need to do their due diligence of cleaning and hiring, like, people to take all their trash out?
Great question. So I'm going to answer in 2 ways. So we do require the home to be empty to close unless the seller wants to pay us to take care of it.
Okay, gotcha. And then the last thing, my last question was, you said that we wouldn't get a 1% if it was already listed on the MLS.
Right.
So let's say it was an expired listing, it expired last night, they were on the MLS. Do we still get the 1% if we get them to re-sign?
It has to be delisted for 90 days before the 1% would kick in.
Okay, so it has to be expired or basically removed from the MLS for 90 days before we can go ahead and open door it.
Correct. So you
Got
can
it.
still get the cash offer and the seller can obviously still pay you. Just that 1% wouldn't come in for 90 days. And you know what? Because I love being transparent, I'll tell you all right now too. If you get an offer for a listed property, it is going to be low. Like every offer is probably not going to be at like your listing price, right? It's probably going to be a little lower because that's what cash offers are. Listed offers are going to be much lower than that because it impacts our ability to resell it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Any more questions or anything I can answer for everyone?
Any other questions?
Okay,
So
I had a question. This is Elisa here.
Hello.
Hi, can the offer go up from the preliminary offer to the final offer? I know it's a range, but what's the possibility that an offer can go up in what it was range?
Good question. So we do stick within the range 93% of the time. So
Okay.
the odds of it going above or below are about 3.5%. Typically, we're really good at sticking in the range. And normally, if we go above or below, it's because some piece of data was missing. Like example, we didn't know there was a pool built this last year because it wasn't on the tax records. So we give you more value. Or it said unfinished basement, but the basement was finished. We give you more value.
Got it. Thank you.
You got it. And can I tell the FIG team a secret? I don't know if you know the secret, okay? Everyone look at me in the eyes right now and promise me you're not going to call your Open Door agent and say, Bryson told me this, okay? If we're close, you get that final offer and we're close, we can almost put this deal together, but the seller just needs a little bit more. This is what you do. You call your experienced partner Okay. Your open door agent. And you say, hey, Kim, you know, this is Jerry. I'm really close to putting this deal together. We're about 5K off. Okay. Here's the key. You need to say, the reason I'm 5K off is my seller needs $5,000 to be able to afford their down payment and closing costs on their new home. So you got to call them or email them and tell them why you need the money. Don't just say you need more money, because everyone wants more money, right? Tell them why. What's the reason? The reason generally is going to be to buy their next home. What they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, let me go see if there's anything we can do here. And that is going to come across my desk. If I have the funds to add some subsidy to your offer, I'll do it. If I don't, I won't. I'm pretty fair and simple. I like to close deals, so if I can get it done, I'll get it done. If I can't, I can't. There's my secret.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Jerry, you have another question?
Yeah, just one last question, I promise. Last question is, so as far as like we take the video and all this stuff, I know you're going to send an inspector out there. If for whatever reason, like the roof is just not up to par, or something like the AC is just not up to par, will open door ever be like, hey, we're just not going to take the house, or like something's wrong with the foundation? Will like they just reject the house in total?
It can happen. Maybe a little bit more along the lines of like foundation. We do AC and roof repairs all the time, but sometimes if the home has like a foundation or maybe like a fire issue or something like that, we might walk away from the property. But I want to point out something, because you mentioned that we have someone come to the property. Did you all know that the process changed in your area? So you actually don't send someone from Open Door to the property before we go under contract. We ask you those list of questions and we do the video, and that's it. Then after we go under contract, someone from Open Door is going to come to the property to confirm that the information we were given is correct. So as long as the information we were given is correct, no repricing takes place. But if you said that the roof was like 10 years old and we show up and it's 30 and falling apart, then we're going to ask for that on the repair. But there is no one who comes to the property from Open Door prior to going under contract.
We have another question over here.
Let's
So,
go.
I had a client who I submitted an Open Door offer for. The roof was actually fairly new. And Open Door in the condition adjustment actually charged, like in the net sheet, like charged the condition adjustment for the roof. So why is that? Can you explain?
Yeah, so the way that we do repairs, I have two things to say. One, I'll answer your question. Two, I'll give you advice. So the way we do repairs is based on data, right? Once again, if you heard me say, like, we're the largest purchaser of homes in America. And so because of that, we've bought a lot of homes in this area. So what we say is like, hey, we've bought 50 homes in this area, and generally homes in this area at this age need this repair. So that's the data that it's based on, right? So we aren't actually climbing up on the roof. We're not actually digging into this AC. We're not actually doing an inspection. We don't do that. However, I understand that if you just did the work, that you don't want your seller to pay for it. So in this situation, what you can do is present the invoice for the work done and see if we'll make an adjustment.
Thank you.
You got
Are
it.
you sure?
The thing is, if let's say it's less than a year old roof, are you still gonna charge the adjustment condition for the roof? So that's just, it seems a little bit like,
Yeah.
if I was a seller, I wouldn't take that. Like, why would I?
Well, two things to say to you. Number one, if you present the invoice, we're likely to change it, right? Because you did the work. So always present the invoice and we're likely to change it. Number two is you have to remember here, this is like general real estate, right? For me, this isn't just this. The main focus of what the seller needs to be focused on is what is the net cash walkaway. That's what matters to them, right? It's so, because What we give is the deal that we need to make this come together and work as a deal. And we don't want to get lost in the nitty gritty parts of it. Especially if it's like, I understand if it's a huge expense and it's going to cost them the ability for the next house. Totally. Let's work it out. Let's get it done. Right. But sometimes we're talking, we lose a deal over $750 because they just can't get over that little fee. And so it's always best to bring the seller right back to the net cash and be like, hey, does this net cash allow you to make your move? And so that's the piece of advice I'd give is always present the invoices if you see them and say like, hey, we did the work. So can you make an adjustment? And if we can't, and it doesn't work for your seller, that's okay. We're an option. It may not work every time. Appreciate your
Awesome.
question.
Any other questions? No. Bryson, if you can send me the slide of the presentation you had
Yeah.
earlier, that's great. I know the first slide was the contact information of who they need to go to if they need to submit an offer, and then that link for the FIG team, which I don't personally have, that would be great. So I'll send you
I
a
will
recap.
send it all to you.
Okay. This was one of the best open doors training I've attended. It was very simple, straightforward. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, until next time. And I hope we get submit some offers soon. I think Jerry has one more question.
Number 6.
Yeah, I
Let's go,
promise.
Jerry.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I get everything out if I can. That 5%, that
Mm.
5% fee. So let's say they get a preliminary offer, it's at 110, for example.
Okay.
Does that 5% come off no matter what, or is that 110? Hey, this is with the 5% already off.
The 5% is no matter what, because that is our operating cost. We lose about half of it right away when we turn around and resell the property for a co-broke, right? So about half of it's gone right away. The other half is the cost for us as a business to operate. So
Got it. So it'd be 110 minus, so it'd be 105. If they get a preliminary offer for 110, it'd be, so I would have to explain to them like, hey, this is actually 105, not 110.
correct. And all of our final offers have every dollar in the transaction pointed out. So they know their exact net cash walkaway before they even sign a contract.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You got it.
And Bryson, you offers between 48 hours, you can get a cash offer.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. And you guys work on weekends? So let's say we're on yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We work on the weekends. So like I said, that partner services team, 7 days a week, you need help and you're trying to figure out what's going on, give them a buzz. They'll help you out.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and hopefully we can submit some offers very soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for the questions.
Bye.
Bye.